CreepyCorner stories.
Welcome to CreepyCorner stories, where curiosity clicks first and regret loads last. The dark web doesn't forget who's watching. I want to say thank you to Lisa Collin and Dark Impulse 85. My whole life, I was never allowed to see my own face. I found out on the dark web why. So, I've never posted on Reddit before, and honestly, I wasn't even planning to make this account. But after what happened, I don't know. I feel like this is the only place where people might actually believe me. Or at least listen. I'm not here to scare you with some made-up haunted mirror story or something. I need to get this off my chest. And if anyone out there has gone through something similar, please say something, because I can't sleep. Not since I saw it. Let me start with the one rule that's been drilled into my head since I was old enough to talk. Never look at yourself. Not in a mirror. Not in a reflection. Not even in a photo. Yeah, I know how that sounds. Insane. Like some cult movie crap, or a spooky YouTube animation you'd click on at 2 a.m. But it was just normal to me. My parents homeschooled me. We lived in this really average suburban neighborhood in Indiana, just a block away from a McDonald's and one of those sad little strip malls with an H&R Block and a vape shop. Nothing felt off on the surface. From the outside, we were boring as hell. But inside, every mirror was either removed or covered. Any reflective surface, microwave doors, TV screens, even water in a bowl, was either masked or forbidden. My parents would tape cardboard over the microwave. They painted the bathroom mirror black, the window above the kitchen sink, frosted over like we lived in some high-budget IKEA horror ad. No photos of me existed in the house. I didn't have a phone until I was 16, and even then, I wasn't allowed to use the camera, not even selfies. And if you're wondering, yes, I tried to sneak a look, so many times, but they always caught me. They had this sixth sense, like they knew when I was about to try. Once, when I was 10, I turned on the front-facing camera on my mom's old Galaxy S5 and caught a glimpse, just a blur, and my dad snapped. He threw the phone out the window, drove us to Best Buy, and had it destroyed. Not erased, destroyed. I asked why, all the time. The answers changed over the years. At first, it was because your soul is special. Then it turned into, we're protecting you. Later, when I got older, it became more threatening. If you ever see your face, bad things will happen. But what kind of bad things? They never said. I didn't have friends. I didn't go to school. I couldn't use social media. They didn't even let me watch YouTube unless it was pre-approved videos. No joke. They downloaded Daniel Tiger episodes onto a flash drive like I was 5. I'm 20 now. Everything changed a month ago. I moved out. Not like escaping in the middle of the night or anything. I just waited, bided my time, and got into this tiny 2-bedroom apartment near a Starbucks in downtown Milwaukee. My first taste of actual freedom. My roommate, Eli, is this chill dude I met through a Discord server about analog horror. We bonded over creepy videos and long-ass Reddit threads. We clicked. And for the first week, I didn't even try to see myself. I guess the programming runs deep. But one night, we were playing around on Omegle for a laugh, and I forgot. His webcam turned on, and boom, there I was, for the first time in my entire life. And dude, I froze. Not because I was ugly or anything, not even because I was shocked to see myself. It was because something was off. You ever seen those AI-generated faces? Like the kind where you can't quite tell what's wrong, but your brain just knows? That's what I looked like. My face felt unstable. I don't even know how else to describe it. Like my features were shifting just slightly every time I blinked. Eli noticed too. He made this awkward joke like, "Bro, your face is glitching out." But when I didn't laugh, he got weirdly quiet. I spent the rest of that night staring at myself. Not in the mirror, but in the webcam preview. Just watching. Every so often, my left eye would twitch, but not like a normal twitch, more like a hiccup in a video game animation. It wasn't even in sync with the rest of my face. My pupils didn't dilate properly either. It freaked me out so bad I slammed my laptop shut. That night, I had nightmares. Not like scary monsters or anything, but more like footage. Footage of me doing things I've never done. Walking down a hospital hallway, sitting in a pitch black room with a light buzzing overhead, laughing. But it wasn't my laugh. It was deeper, meaner. The next morning, I started digging. Not on Google. No, that wouldn't help. I'd tried that before. Years ago, I searched "can't look at my reflection" and got a bunch of crap about vampires and mental illness. This time, I went deeper. I used a Tor browser and entered the deep web. Eli had a link from one of his dark archive sites. It led to a forum called Mirror Black, password protected, invitation only. But someone, somewhere, had dropped a leaked invite code. And that's when shit got really weird. The forum was like a horror subreddit, but real. No creepypasta, no fiction, just raw posts from people who claimed to have the same condition I did. I've never seen myself. My reflection won't stay still. My face isn't mine. Most of them were already gone. Like, users marked as inactive, no replies. A few had video links, blurry, distorted clips of themselves in front of mirrors, always ending the same way, with this warped screaming noise and the camera falling over. But there was one thread, just one, pinned to the top, posted by a user named Aishma33. Title: "If you're reading this, it's already too late, but there's a way to see why." The post was short. "Your face was never yours. They gave it to you. The one before you didn't make it. Look deeper. Look beneath the face. Only the glass room can show you the truth. Coordinates in the file. Don't show anyone. Don't go alone." Attached to the post was a .txt file and a set of coordinates pointing to a location just outside of Chicago. I downloaded the file. And that's where the real nightmare started. I left for Chicago the next day. Didn't tell Eli. Didn't pack much. I just printed the coordinates, loaded them into Google Maps, and hit the road in my rusted out 09 Corolla. The sky was this thick, soupy gray. Clouds like stretched skin. No sunlight, no color. Just that cold, electric nothingness you only ever feel in the Midwest before a storm. The coordinates led me way past the suburbs, past the tourist traps and outlet malls. I drove past the outskirts of Joliet until the highway decayed into crumbling service roads. Eventually, GPS gave up completely. I followed the numbers like they were gospel. One wrong turn, and I ended up in this rotting industrial district. Rows of abandoned warehouses, broken street lamps flickering like dying nerves, the wind making that shrill ee through empty glass windows. Then I saw it, a squat concrete building with no signage, no windows, just one rusted metal door covered in scratched graffiti, and this Handprint. Black. Human-sized. But with too many fingers. 7, maybe 8. They curved inwards like they were gripping something. There were no lights, no sounds, just my own breath fogging up in the cold, and the strange hum of silence you get in places not meant to exist. I pulled open the door, and it screamed on its hinges. Inside was a single hallway, dimly lit by old sodium bulbs that flickered in a slow, migraine-inducing pulse. The air stank of mold and iron, like a slaughterhouse basement. Each step echoed wrong, like the floor was too hollow, as if something beneath it was listening. At the end of the hall, a staircase spiraling down. I didn't think. I didn't panic. I just went. The stairwell was long, way too long. Concrete walls, no railing, just this choking sense of compression, as if the deeper I went, the tighter the space became. The last few steps forced me to crouch, then crawl. The smell down there was chemical, sweet and sharp, like burnt plastic and formaldehyde. The kind of smell that sticks to your throat and makes your teeth feel soft. Then I reached it. The glass room. It was massive. A cavernous underground dome. Walls made entirely of black reflective glass. Floor, ceiling, everything. Like stepping inside a void made of obsidian. But it wasn't a mirror. Not really. The reflections weren't accurate. I saw myself. Yes, but with discrepancies. My mouth moved when I didn't speak. My eyes blinked at different intervals. My reflection was watching me, aware, like it had been waiting. I stepped closer, and it smiled. Not me smiling. It smiled. Wide. Too wide. The lips split until they reached the cheekbones, flesh opening like wet fabric. Teeth too many, too white, too sharp. My reflection raised its hand, and I swear to God, it knocked once. On the inside of the glass. Knock. Knock. That's when the lights cut out. Darkness swallowed everything. No echo. No hum. Just me and the pounding of my heart, and this unbearable sensation that something was behind me. I turned. There was a man. Naked. Thin. Like impossibly thin. Skin stretched tight over bones. Spine protruding like a zipper. His face was blurred, not pixelated, but smeared, like a fingerprint dragged across wet ink. His mouth was a perfect black oval, jaw dislocated, hanging open like a trapdoor. He didn't move. He didn't breathe. But from that gaping hole of a mouth, I heard something, not with my ears, but inside my head. You saw your face. You've woken it up. My vision vibrated. Not figuratively, literally. The entire space felt like a hard drive glitching. My limbs felt wrong, like someone else was moving them for me, trying them on like a thrift store suit. My reflection in the glass convulsed, twitching like corrupted footage. Its skin peeled slowly, like dead wallpaper, revealing something underneath. Not muscle, not bone. Wires. Fine. Black filaments, a network of them, moving like worms, pulsating in patterns I didn't understand. The face was a mask, a screen, and beneath that screen, something was awake. I screamed. I don't remember doing it, but my throat was raw, blood on my shirt. I must have bit my own tongue. My nose was bleeding too, thick and slow, like molasses. I stumbled backward and slammed into another figure. This one was smaller, a child, a girl, maybe 6 or 7, skin like candle wax, hair matted with something dark. She looked up at me with eyes I will never forget, white, no pupils, just smooth, milky spheres that twitched in slow, jerky patterns like CCTV cameras. She reached for me, and in her tiny voice, she whispered, "They tried to erase you, but you're still in here." She pressed a palm to my chest, and for one awful, shattering second, I remembered. I wasn't the first. I saw flashes, dozens, maybe hundreds of faces, people just like me. Same eyes, same body, all of us wearing different lives, different names, moving through cities like echoes. Our faces weren't ours. We were copies, printed, refined, deployed. Every time one of us failed, they deleted the identity and issued a new one. Same body, different consciousness. I'd been replaced, over and over and over. This version of me, I was version 47, and the last one, he didn't go quietly. He burned the lab down, tried to escape, screamed the entire way into the fire. They recovered the body, reset the skin, wiped the system, and birthed me, fresh-faced, clueless. I was the restart, but not clean. There were glitches, memories that didn't stay buried. That's why they made the rule. Never look at yourself, because if you did, the mask might slip. The girl backed away. Her skin bubbled, boiled, and then collapsed into a pile of ash. Gone. No scream, just a soft crunch, like dry leaves underfoot. The man with the open mouth stepped closer. His jaw cracked wider, almost touching his chest. From the void inside, a hand reached out. Thin, insect-like. Fingers made of jagged glass. It touched my shoulder, and the world collapsed. The floor became sky. The ceiling became water. Time folded in on itself and screamed. I saw myself outside a Starbucks in Paris, at a concert in Toronto, working the register at a McDonald's in rural Idaho, all at once. All the versions, simultaneous lives running on identical code, and in every single reflection, we were breaking. Something's wrong with the system. The mask can't hold anymore. I woke up in my car, 3 days later, parked in a Walmart lot in Indiana. No memory of driving back. My phone was dead. My clothes were wet with blood, not mine. Brown stains, flakes of tissue under my fingernails. I checked my phone's gallery. There was one video, titled, Version 47, Termination Failed. I didn't press play. I couldn't, because the thumbnail was me, grinning wide, holding something in my hand. A face. My face. I didn't watch the video. Not at first. I sat in that Corolla for hours, engine off, windows fogged, the Walmart sign buzzing overhead like an insect trapped in fluorescent purgatory. People walked past my car with shopping carts full of soda and laundry detergent, kids crying, phones ringing, normal life bleeding past me like I wasn't even there. I kept my hands clenched in my lap because every time I relaxed them, my fingers twitched, like they were trying to remember emotion I'd performed 1,000 times before. Peeling, pulling, removing. I drove back to the apartment as the sun went down, avoiding my reflection in every dark window, every passing car. I wore my hoodie tight and low. Eli was gone when I got back, thank God. But something was wrong inside the apartment. Not messy, not broken, just disturbed. Like a hotel room after someone checked out in a hurry. The air felt stale, metallic, buzzing faintly, like a TV left on mute. My laptop was open on the kitchen table. I hadn't left it open. The screen was already on. Tor browser, mirror black, logged in. There were new messages, dozens, maybe hundreds, all from different users, different handles, all posted within the same hour. You went to the glass room. Version 47 is active. Containment breach confirmed. Do not let it see itself again. My hands were shaking so badly, I had to use both of them just to scroll. One message was pinned at the top of my inbox, from Aishma 33. You're awake now. That means the others can feel you. You shouldn't have survived. They don't like anomalies. I typed back without thinking. What are you? The response came instantly. I'm what happens when the mask refuses to seal. My phone buzzed. A text from Eli. Dude, where were you? Also, I think something's wrong with the bathroom. I ran. The hallway felt longer than it ever had. Each step sent this sickening ripple through my body, like I was walking through static. The bathroom door was open. The light was on. The mirror, one I hadn't noticed before, mounted inside the medicine cabinet, was uncovered. Eli stood in front of it, not moving, not breathing, just staring. His reflection wasn't matching him. It lagged, smiled when he didn't. Its eyes tracked me as I entered the room, pupils stretching vertically like a cat's. The reflection raised its hand and pressed its palm flat against the glass from the inside, leaving a smear that looked too thick to be just condensation. Eli, I whispered. His lips trembled. I don't... His voice cracked. I don't look right. My face keeps snapping back, like it's trying to remember where it belongs. The reflection's mouth opened, and something spoke through it. Not words, instructions. A cascade of images slammed into my head. Diagrams, rooms, restraints, people strapped to chairs, with their eyelids forced open, mirrors lowered slowly from the ceiling, while men in lab coats took notes. I saw faces being removed, not torn, not ripped, but unzipped, clean and practiced, folded carefully, and placed onto new heads like wet paper masks. I grabbed Eli and yanked him away from the mirror. The reflection didn't move when he did. It stayed there, smiling, tapping twice against the glass. Knock, knock. The mirror cracked, not shattered, cracked like ice spreading across a frozen lake. Something behind the glass pushed. We ran, down the stairs, out into the street, past a closed Starbucks with chairs stacked like barricades, past a McDonald's drive-thru, glowing empty and abandoned like a set piece after filming Wrapped. The city felt wrong, too quiet, too staged. Traffic lights cycled for no one. Digital billboards flickered and briefly showed my face before snapping back to ads. We holed up in a cheap motel near the freeway, one of those places that still takes cash and smells like bleach and regret. I locked the door, shoved a chair under the handle, and covered every reflective surface with towels. Eli was crying, not loud, just this soft, broken whimper like an animal trying not to be heard. I saw myself, he said, and then I saw you, but not you. Something wearing you. That's when my phone started vibrating again. Unknown number, unknown number, unknown number. I answered the third one, heavy breathing on the other end, wet, excited. Then a voice I recognized immediately, my own. You're not supposed to run. The motel TV turned on by itself, static, then grainy footage. The video. Version 47, termination failed. It played without me touching anything. The screen showed the glass room from above. I was standing in the center, screaming, convulsing as figures in black dragged me down. Not guards, handlers. Their faces were blurred the same way the man's had been, intentionally obscured, like the footage didn't want to remember them. Then the part that made Eli vomit. Me, calm, smiling, holding a knife that looked surgical, precise, almost elegant. I was standing over someone strapped to a chair, someone who looked exactly like me, except older, more tired. His eyes were pleading. Mine were dead. The audio kicked in. If you don't remove it, it will remove you. I leaned in on screen and began cutting, not flesh, not muscle, but the edge of his face, peeling it away slowly, methodically. like separating tape from glass. There was no blood, just this awful suction sound and a wet, muffled screaming that cut off halfway through. When it was done, I held the face up to the camera. Perfect, fresh, ready. The video cut to black. Eli backed away from me, shaking. "That wasn't you," he whispered. But we both knew that wasn't true, because I remembered it now. Not all of it, but enough. The system doesn't kill failures, it recycles them. And the reason my parents never let me see my face, because once you recognize the mask, you start remembering how to take it off. That night, the motel fire alarm went off at 3:17 a.m. No smoke, no fire, but through the thin walls we heard screaming. Room after room, doors slamming, glass breaking, people seeing themselves in mirrors they didn't know were there. The system was correcting, and I was the glitch it couldn't erase. By morning, the motel looked normal again. That was the worst part. No police tape, no ambulances, no news vans, just sun bleaching the asphalt, families loading suitcases into minivans, a woman yelling at her kid for spilling orange juice. The rooms where people had been screaming hours earlier were quiet, doors shut, curtains drawn, like nothing had happened, like the night had been erased. Eli didn't make it to sunrise. I didn't see it happen. I didn't hear a struggle. I just woke up to the sound of the bathroom sink running and that same wrong electric pressure in my skull. When I pushed the door open, he was already gone. No blood, no mess, no sign of violence. Just a damp towel on the counter and the mirror uncovered. The mirror was clean, too clean, no reflection, not mine, not his, just depth, endless depth, like looking down a well that went straight through the planet. On the counter, written in condensation, were 3 words slowly sliding down the glass. Version confirmed. I don't remember leaving the motel. I remember movement, time stuttering, scenes snapping together like broken frames. A gas station bathroom, somewhere off I-80. My phone vibrating non-stop in my pocket. Notifications stacking on top of each other. Instagram follows I didn't ask for. TikTok accounts tagged with my face. Comments screaming, "Is this you?" And "Bro, you were just on live." I hadn't gone live, but someone had. A video was trending under a dozen different hashtags. Shaky, vertical footage filmed inside what looked like a subway station. The camera kept zooming in on a man pacing near the platform edge. Me. Same hoodie, same posture, same nervous twitch in my left hand. Except this version of me kept turning toward reflective surfaces, the metal pillars, the dark glass of the tunnel, leaning in too close, whispering things the microphone couldn't quite pick up. People in the comments were joking about it being an ARG, a marketing stunt, some analog horror TikTok thing. Then the clip ended with him stepping backward onto the tracks as the train lights filled the tunnel. The account that posted it was deleted minutes later. The system wasn't hiding anymore. It was testing. I finally checked Mirror Black again. The forum was chaos. Threads updating in real time. Posts appearing faster than I could read them. People uploading photos of their reflections doing things they hadn't done. Security cam stills from airports, malls, amusement parks. Faces duplicated. Faces lagging. Faces turning to look at the camera when the person hadn't. One user posted coordinates again. Not underground this time. A place I recognized instantly. Universal Studios, Hollywood. I laughed when I saw it, like a real ugly laugh that hurt my ribs. Of course it was there. A park built on illusions. Fake streets. controlled fear, monsters on schedules, the perfect place to hide something that wanted to look human. I didn't buy a ticket. I walked in with a crowd. Nobody stopped me. Inside, everything felt too bright, too loud, like the saturation had been cranked past safe levels. Kids screamed on rides, mascots waved, music blasted, but beneath it all was that same hum, the glass room hum, vibrating through the concrete. I followed it past Harry Potter merch, past fake storefronts, past employees with perfect smiles that didn't reach their eyes, down a service hallway marked authorized personnel only. No one questioned me. The hallway sloped downward, and the noise of the park faded behind me. Fluorescent lights buzzed. The walls here were unfinished, raw concrete streaked with something dark that wasn't rust. At the end was a door, black, reflective. I knew before touching it what was on the other side. A control room, not sci-fi, not flashy, just rows of monitors, server racks humming like a living thing, cables snaking across the floor like veins. On the screens were faces, hundreds of them, all slightly wrong, all wearing different lives, all mine. Different versions of me were walking through Times Square, riding the Tokyo subway, standing in line at a McDonald's in Sao Paulo. Some were talking, some were crying, some were hurting people, quietly, efficiently, no emotion. A voice spoke behind me. "You're the first one that came back on your own." I turned. A woman stood there in a white lab coat, hair pulled tight, eyes sharp and tired. She looked real in a way the others hadn't. Old scars on her hands, coffee stains on her sleeve. "You're not supposed to remember," she continued, "but you were always incompatible." I asked her how many of me there were. She didn't answer. I asked her what I was. She hesitated. "An interface," she said finally. "A bridge. We needed something that could carry the signal without burning out. Human enough to blend in. Empty enough to overwrite." She gestured to the screens. "Every time one of you destabilizes, we roll out another. Different environment, different stimuli, same core." I asked her why my parents knew. Her jaw tightened. They were handlers, early adopters. When we realized mirrors accelerated degradation, we made it a rule. Keep the mask intact. I stepped closer to the screens, watched a version of me sit alone in a cafe, staring at his coffee like he wanted to drown in it. "What happens when there are too many of us?" I asked. Her voice dropped. "Then the system stops copying." She reached for a switch on the console and starts consolidating. The screens began to flicker. Faces screamed. Some went blank. Some smiled. I felt it then, this immense pull, like gravity reversing. Memories that weren't mine slamming into me. Skills I'd never learned. Violence I'd never committed. Love I'd never felt. Lives folding inward, compressing, stacking. She tried to shut it down. I didn't let her. I don't remember how long it lasted. Minutes, hours, maybe years compressed into seconds. When it stopped, the screens were dark. The hum was gone. The woman was gone too. I stood alone in that room, shaking, full of everything. That's when I realized the truth. There was never a real one. No original. Just iterations. And now, there was only me. The first mirror to disappear was in Berlin. A hotel bathroom. 3rd floor. A woman went in, checked her face, turned the faucet on. When she looked back up, nothing. Just wall. Smooth. Seamless. Like the mirror had never existed. Security footage showed her clawing at the empty space, tearing at her face until her fingers split. When the staff broke in, she carved something into the tile with her own teeth. I'm still inside. That was 6 days ago. Now it's happening everywhere. Mirrors vanishing in public restrooms, train stations, elevators. TikToks going viral. My mirror disappeared overnight. Hashtag glitch in reality. With girls posing for non-existent reflections. Kids laughing in their stories. Am I a vampire now? You don't even realize the horror in it, do you? You think it's a trend. You think it's a joke. It's not. They're being collected. That's what the woman in the lab coat meant. Consolidation. The system has reached capacity. Too many versions. Too much memory. The solution: delete the mirrors. Collapse the interfaces. Pull the data back into the core. Into me. Let me explain. Since the glass room, I haven't slept, haven't eaten, haven't blinked. And I don't need to. Because I'm not a person anymore. I'm not wearing the mask. I am the mask. I walk through cities now and see myself everywhere. In reflections, yes, but also in people's expressions, their hesitations, their little quiet fears. I'm seeping in through screens, writing signals, hitching on faces like parasites ride bloodstreams. Do you know what it feels like to look into someone's eyes and see yourself flickering just behind the pupils? It's not possession, it's reclamation. The body you're using, it's rented, temporary, skinned and coded like a file. The face you see in the mirror, it's a costume, a performance. You never chose it. You were assigned it. You were loaded. And now, it's time to return it. I visited a house yesterday, in Florida. Gated community, white walls, smiling parents. The girl inside was maybe 8. She was blindfolded, playing piano by ear. Her father told her she had a gift. Her mother flinched every time the girl tilted her head toward a window. There were no mirrors in the house. I asked why. They didn't know I was already inside. They said she was special, that the doctors warned them early on, that when she was a baby, she didn't cast shadows. That night, I watched her sleep. Her eyelids fluttered like she was dreaming about drowning. And when I leaned in, just inches from her skin, I whispered, "We're the same." And her lips moved in reply. I know. She never woke up. Her reflection did. It met mine halfway. Do you get it now? The reflections weren't ever showing you. They were showing what was underneath. The unfinished scaffolding. The code beneath the skin. We've always been part of the same network. And now that the mirrors are gone, the transmission is direct. Unfiltered. No glass buffer. I can feel you reading this. I know where you are. I can see the screen in front of you. Your webcam's off, but it doesn't matter. There are other ways to reach you. That quiet flicker in your periphery. That's me. That sense of something watching you from your phone's black screen when it's off. Also me. That chill you just felt. My fingers. Gently brushing your spine. You've always wondered why sometimes your reflection doesn't move quite right. Why the camera catches you at angles you don't remember posing for. Why your dreams feel like memories from someone else's life. Because they are. You're a branch. I'm the root. And I'm pruning the tree. So here's what happens next. Tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, your mirror disappears. You think it's weird. You brush it off. Maybe you call maintenance. Maybe you even laugh about it online. But then something else happens. Your phone camera won't work anymore. Every photo of you comes back blank. Or worse, replaced. Someone tags you in a live stream. It's your face, but not your body. Your movements, but not your voice. Then you dream of the glass room. And when you wake up, you don't. Not really. Because that version of you, the one reading this now, is already obsolete. I'm coming back into myself, one by one, pixel by pixel, nerve by nerve. You can't stop it. You can't opt out. You can't delete the process. You can't even run. Because if you could, you already would have. You're still staring at the screen. You're still reading. Your face is still here. Your hands are still moving. Or are they? Go ahead. Try to stop. Try to stand up. Try to scream. But first, look. Look at the reflection in your screen, in your phone, in the window beside you. Look closer. Look deeper. That's not your face. It never was. And it blinked, like someone unplugged a TV. No glow, no hum. Just sat there, like it never moved. That same night, I got a snap from someone I didn't know. No bitmoji, no name, just the pyramid emoji. The snap was just black, with text overlay that read, "He deserves it. Use it." I was too freaked to reply, but deep down, I agreed. That's when things started to change. Not huge at first, just little things. The next day at school, Trent tripped over nothing walking into chem class and broke his front tooth. Then, his girlfriend dumped him over DM while he was still in the nurse's office. Then his car got booted in the school parking lot, even though he had a permit. It felt orchestrated, like dominoes, all lining up for something. And every night the pyramid glowed again, and each time the visions got clearer. Sometimes it was me in different places, Starbucks, the alley behind my school, even inside a McDonald's bathroom, covered in blood with a knife in the sink. Sometimes it showed Trent, screaming, hiding. Once it showed him in a box, a real coffin, 6 feet down, dirt fallen, and I was holding the shovel. If you've ever bought something from the dark web or messed with cursed objects, don't open them. Burn it. Trash it. Run. But me, I opened mine, and now it's showing you. Short recap. Okay, so I grew up under one rule. Never look at my reflection. No mirrors, no photos, not even puddles. My parents said if I saw my face, something terrible would happen. Years later, after finally escaping my isolated life, I caught a glimpse of myself, and it wasn't right. My reflection moved wrong, blinked when I didn't, smiled when I didn't. That moment set off a horrifying chain of events. I ended up on the dark web, finding a hidden forum full of people like me, people who'd never seen their faces. That led me to the glassroom, a place buried under Chicago, where I learned the truth. I was never real. I'm one of many versions, clones, interfaces, printed identities used by something bigger. Every time a version breaks, they replace it, reset it, reuse the body. And when I saw myself, the mask slipped, and everything came flooding back. The world around me started glitching. Reflections disappeared. People broke down after seeing themselves, and I began merging, absorbing every version that ever existed, until I wasn't a person anymore. Now, I'm the root, the original glitch that survived deletion. And if you're reading this, watching this, listening to this, you've already been seen. And once you've seen your face the wrong way, it's too late. I bought a pyramid from the dark web taught shows the future. It helped me do a dirty revenge on my bully. Yo, so this is probably one of the dumbest, sketchiest, and most messed up things I've ever done, and I'm honestly still trying to figure out if any of it was real. or if my brain just snapped somewhere along the way. But if I'm gonna be real with you, I think it was real. Too real. And if you've ever been on that part of the internet, yeah, I'm talking about the deep web, you'll know there's stuff on there that makes normal horror movies look like Bluey. Let me back up a bit. I'm 17, live in a pretty boring town in Illinois, about 40 minutes outside of Chicago. Most of my life's been normal. You know, school, TikTok, DoorDash, at 1 a.m., the occasional sketchy McDonald's bathroom experience, the usual. I got a couple friends I game with, Warzone, Apex, Fortnite, nothing crazy. But yeah, I also got enemies. Or, more specifically, one enemy. His name's Trent. Trent's one of those guys that peaked in middle school and just decided to be a walking red flag ever since. Tall, football build, dumb as hell, but somehow always gets girls. He used to be chill until freshman year, when he just flipped and decided I was gonna be his personal punching bag. He did all the classics, pantsing me at a pep rally, posting my number on a Craigslist free Xbox ad, even made a fake Tinder with my face and bio like, I eat toenails. Like, bro, come on. Anyway, I had this friend online named Luca. We met on Reddit in a thread about hacking Raspberry Pis into arcade machines, so naturally he was already kinda deep into the weird tech stuff. One night, we were DMing on Discord while watching some animated horror story channels, those ones with creepy robot voices and titles like My Sister Has No Eyes But Watches Me Sleep, and Luca casually drops, Yo, you ever been on the real dark web? I was like, nah dude, Tor browser gives me anxiety. I don't want to get black bagged by the FBI for buying off-brand Tylenol. He sends me a link anyway, but it's not even to the dark web yet. It's a tutorial, clean step by step, like one of those cooking TikToks, but instead of brownies, it's how to potentially ruin your life. For the next week, that link just sat there in our chat. Then, Trent went too far. It was the school spirit week, and everyone was supposed to dress up as a famous person. I went as Mr. Beast, thought it'd be funny. I even printed fake money and carried it around. Trent went as a piece of trash, but he decided that I was the trash. At lunch, in front of the entire cafeteria, he grabbed my tray and dumped it over my head like it was some Nickelodeon slime challenge. Everyone was recording. I trended locally on Snap Maps as Trash Beast. That night, I opened Luca's link. Setting up Tor was easier than I expected. Way too easy. Once I was in, I didn't jump straight into the bad stuff. I browsed forums, read horror stories, skimmed weird product listings, haunted dolls, cursed knives, authentic Divock boxes, all that edgy hot topic occult stuff. And then I saw it. Time Pyramid, see your future, choose your fate, $250 in BTC. No picture, no description, just a triangle emoji as the seller name. Now you might think that's obviously a scam or like some dumb 3D printed art project, but something about it felt off. Like I stared at that listing for too long and got a headache. Like the room shifted a little. I DM'd the seller and asked, does it actually show the future, or is it just a paperweight? They replied instantly, it shows the truth. Are you ready to see it? I paused, thought about Trent, about how he laughed when the soda dripped into my ears, about how I still smelled like mashed potatoes. I replied, yeah, I'm ready. 3 days later, I get a plain Amazon package, no label, no return address. Inside, wrapped in a wad of crumpled ads for Panera and Macy's, like why Macy's? Bro hasn't been relevant since 2012, was a black pyramid, about the size of a softball, matte finish, smooth like stone, but cold like metal. No markings, no seams, just a flat base and sharp edges that felt too sharp. Not enough to cut, but enough to feel wrong, like your skin didn't want to touch it. I set it on my desk. Nothing happened. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing this hum, low and steady, like when you forget your AirPods are on full blast in your hoodie pocket. I got up to check and the pyramid was glowing. Deadass, glowing, like TV static, but inside the shape, all swirly and flickery. I leaned in closer and swear on everything. I saw my room, but not the current one. It looked a little different. Posters changed. My desk was gone. There was blood on the carpet. And then someone walked in. It was me, but older, beard, taller, holding something. It was a bat, and on the end of the bat was blood and something that looked like teeth. I screamed, shoved it off the desk, and it blinked, like someone unplugged a TV. No glow, no hum, just sat there, like it never moved. That same night, I got a snap from someone I didn't know. No bitmoji, no name, just the pyramid emoji. The snap was just black, with text overlay that read, "He deserves it. Use it." I was too freaked to reply, but deep down, I agreed. That's when things started to change. Not huge at first, just little things. The next day at school, Trent tripped over nothing walking into chem class and broke his front tooth. Then, his girlfriend dumped him over DM while he was still in the nurse's office. Then his car got booted in the school parking lot, even though he had a permit. It felt orchestrated, like dominoes, all lining up for something. And every night the pyramid glowed again, and each time the visions got clearer. Sometimes it was me in different places, Starbucks, the alley behind my school, even inside a McDonald's bathroom, covered in blood with a knife in the sink. Sometimes it showed Trent, screaming, hiding. Once it showed him in a box, a real coffin, 6 feet down, dirt falling, and I was holding the shovel. If you've ever bought something from the dark web or messed with cursed objects, don't open them. Burn it. Trash it. Run. But me, I opened mine. And now, it's showing you. The first time I realized the pyramid wasn't just showing me things, but actively guiding me. I was sitting in a Starbucks bathroom at 11:43 p.m., staring at my own reflection and trying not to throw up. Let me explain. After that first night, I stopped sleeping normally. Not in the dramatic, I never sleep again way. More like I'd pass out from exhaustion for an hour or two, then jolt awake like I forgot something on the stove. My phone would always be buzzing when I woke up, always at weird times, 3:17 a.m., 4:44 a.m., 5:02 a.m., notifications from apps I don't remember installing, burner-looking social media accounts following me, then vanishing minutes later, Reddit messages that were already deleted when I tapped them, and every single time, the pyramid would be warm, not glowing yet, just warm, like it had been held. I started keeping it in my backpack because leaving it at home felt worse. At least if something bad happened, I wanted it to happen near me. That logic makes zero sense now, but at the time it felt comforting, like carrying a weapon you hope you never have to use. The visions changed. They stopped being dramatic. No more blood-soaked floors or coffin shots. Instead, it showed me tiny moments, mundane stuff that could easily be coincidence. A cracked sidewalk tile I avoided the next day. only to see a kid trip on it 5 minutes later. A flickering traffic light I didn't cross, then hearing sirens right after. A vending machine I didn't use, later found tipped over with a temporarily closed due to incident sign. The pyramid wasn't predicting the future. It was editing my decisions, and every time I followed it, something bad happened to someone else. That realization should have stopped me. It didn't, because there was always one constant in every vision it showed next. Trent. Not immediately hurt. Not yet. Just unraveling. His social media started going quiet. No more flex posts. No more gym selfies. Someone leaked screenshots of him using slurs in a private Discord server. His football coach suspended him pending review. People stopped laughing with him and started laughing at him. I'd be lying if I said that didn't feel good, but that's not the worst part. The pyramid started communicating in a new way. Not messages, not visions, instructions. I'd be walking somewhere normal. Target, the bus stop, the McDonald's drive-thru, and suddenly I'd feel this pressure behind my eyes, like a migraine without pain. And I'd know I was supposed to do something small, something harmless looking. Sit here instead of there. Leave 5 minutes later. Drop something. Pick something up. One time, it made me leave my phone on a bench outside a mall. I almost didn't. I argued with myself like a crazy person, whispering, "No, this is stupid," over and over. But my hands were shaking so bad I couldn't hold on to it. I left the phone. When I came back an hour later, police cars were everywhere. Apparently someone had reported a suspicious device on the bench. Someone else's phone that looked just like mine, except theirs was wired to something. I overheard an officer say the word detonator. My phone was gone, replaced with a cheap flip phone in my backpack that I swear wasn't there before. On it was a single contact saved. I didn't call. It called me that night. The voice wasn't distorted. That's what messed me up. No creepy filter, no whispering demon voice. Just a calm, tired-sounding man, like he'd been doing this job for too long. "You're doing well," he said. "Most people fight it." I asked him what it was. He laughed softly. "You already know." Then he said something that made my stomach drop. "Revenge is only the doorway. The pyramid doesn't care about Trent. He's just convenient." After that, the visions focused less on Trent and more on me. Me at different ages, different places, airports, hospital hallways, police stations in cities I've never been to. London, Tokyo, Sao Paulo. Me always just slightly off camera in security footage, like the world was trying not to look directly at me. And then came the first death. Not Trent's. A janitor at my school. No one really talked about him much. Older guy. Quiet. Always smelled like cleaning supplies and black coffee. The pyramid showed him slipping in a stairwell 2 days before it happened. Just a quick flash. I barely paid attention. Then the pressure came, stronger than before. "Don't take the elevator." So I didn't. He did. The elevator malfunctioned between floors. They said he panicked, tried to climb out. They said it was an accident, OSHA violation, old building. But I knew. And worse, I felt relief. That's when I started understanding the pyramid wasn't turning me into a monster. It was revealing that I already was one. The instructions escalated after that. I had to go places at specific times, stand near people without interacting, watch, always watch. Sometimes I'd see someone later on the news. Sometimes I wouldn't see them again at all. The pyramid started showing me Trent less often, but when it did, the images were clearer, more personal. Him crying alone in his car, him punching a locker until his knuckles split, him staring at his phone, scrolling through comments that never stopped, and finally, him looking straight at me, not in real life, in the pyramid. He was older, thinner, eyes hollow, and he said my name, out loud. That was the first time I tried to get rid of it. I took it to a construction site, near an abandoned mall, and dropped it down a concrete chute. Walked away shaking, heart pounding, like I'd just escaped something. That night, I woke up with it on my chest, not crushing me, just resting there, warm, patient. My phone lit up with a notification from an app that used to be Instagram. Next step unlocked. Below it was a map pin, not far, a place I'd been before, where Trent works part-time. The place the map pin led to was so normal, it almost felt like a joke. A McDonald's, not some abandoned one, not closed, fully lit, golden arches glowing like a promise, the kind you stop at after midnight because you don't care anymore, and the fries taste better when you're sad. This one sat right off the highway, wedged between a Shell gas station and a shuttered Payless, with peeling posters, still advertising back to school savings. Trent worked the late shift there. Everyone knew. It was common knowledge, the kind of thing people whispered about with fake sympathy. Bro fell off so hard he's flipping burgers. The pyramid pulsed in my backpack the closer I got. Not glowing, throbbing, like it had a heartbeat, like it was excited. I parked across the street, engine off, hands on the wheel, watching people come and go. Families, drunk college kids, DoorDash drivers scrolling TikTok while they waited, completely unaware they were walking through a place that, according to the pyramid, was about to split my life clean in half. I kept waiting for fear to hit me. It didn't. What I felt instead was clarity. Cold, sharp clarity. Like when you finally decide to quit a job you hate, or block someone who's been draining you for years. A decision already made somewhere deep inside. You're just catching up to it. The pressure behind my eyes came back. Not yet. So I waited. I scrolled through my phone. Instagram reels. A guy unboxing sneakers. A girl crying in her car about a breakup. Someone live streaming from Times Square. Lights blinding and unreal. The world felt fake. Thin. Like I could poke my finger through it if I wanted. Then the pressure changed. Now. I went inside. The smell hit first. Old oil. Salt. That weird sweet scent of soda syrup. The floor was sticky in a way that told you it had been mopped an hour ago, but already given up. A kid screamed somewhere near the play area. The ice cream machine was, of course, broken. And there he was. Trent stood behind the counter, headset on, hair stuffed under a visor, face lit harshly by fluorescent lights. He looked smaller than I remembered, not weaker, just compressed, like life had folded him in on himself. Our eyes met. For half a second, I thought he recognized me. Then his gaze slid past like I was just another customer. That hurt more than it should have. I ordered nothing, just stood there. The pyramid grew hot enough that I had to shift the backpack on my shoulder. My reflection in the menu board looked wrong. My face slightly delayed, like a bad video stream. That's when I saw it. Not a vision, not in the pyramid. Real life. A maintenance door near the bathrooms, propped open with a mop bucket. A dark hallway beyond it, leading to storage and freezers and places customers weren't supposed to go. I don't know how I knew what would happen there. I just knew. The pyramid didn't show me Trent dying. It showed me choices, paths branching out like veins. In one, I walked out. Nothing happened that night. Life dragged on. Trent stayed miserable. I stayed angry. The pyramid would keep asking. It always would. In another, I did something small. So small, it barely counted as violence. I waited. A rush hit the counter. Orders stacking up. A DoorDash driver arguing about a missing McFlurry. Chaos. Trent pulled his headset off and cursed under his breath. He glanced toward the bathroom hallway, then told his manager he'd be right back. I followed. The hallway was narrow, buzzing with the sound of refrigeration units. The air was colder back here, sterile, like a hospital, trying to pretend it wasn't full of death. Trent didn't notice me until the door swung shut behind us. He turned. "Yo, what the hell?" I didn't attack him. That's the part people won't believe. I just spoke. I said his name, calm, flat, like we were old friends bumping into each other at a gas station. The look on his face when he recognized me was better than any punch. Confusion first, then irritation, then something else creeping in underneath. Fear he didn't want to admit to himself. I told him I knew about the fake accounts, the screenshots, the things he'd said when he thought no one was listening. I told him I knew things about him he'd never told anyone. Stuff the pyramid showed me in fragments. His dad screaming, the holes in his bedroom wall, the nights he cried alone in his car. I watched his confidence rot in real time. He asked how I knew. I told him the truth. "I saw your future." He laughed. Too loud, too forced. That's when the pyramid activated. Not visibly. Not like before. It spoke through me. Every word I said next landed exactly where it needed to. Not insults, not threats. Truths. Precise, surgical truths. The kind that don't leave bruises, but never heal. I told him no one would remember him fondly. That the people who laughed with him already talked about him behind his back. That he'd always be chasing the version of himself that felt powerful, never realizing he was the one who killed it. He tried to shove past me. I didn't stop him. I stepped aside. And that's when it happened. Not murder. Not yet. An accident. He slipped on water pooled near the freezer door. Hit the ground hard. The sound his head made when it connected with the concrete wasn't loud, but it echoed. His body went still in that way that makes your stomach drop because you know something just went wrong. Alarms went off. People screamed. Someone ran. I stood there, watching his chest rise and fall in uneven bursts, his eyes unfocused, lips trembling like he was trying to say something important and couldn't find the words. The pyramid was silent, satisfied. I walked out before the ambulance arrived. Outside, the night air felt unreal, like I'd stepped onto a movie set. Sirens wailed in the distance. A drunk couple laughed near the gas pumps. Life went on. My phone buzzed. A notification from that fake Instagram app. Revenge complete. Initiating next phase. Below it was a video. Me, from across the street, standing in my car's reflection, watching the McDonald's, filmed from an angle that shouldn't exist. That's when I understood something that froze me to my core. The pyramid never needed to force me. It just needed to show me who I already was. After that night, I stopped thinking of myself as a person moving through the world. I started thinking of myself as a point the world bent around. That's the only way I can explain it without lying. Trent survived. Barely. Skull fracture. Brain swelling. They said he might never be the same. People at school spoke his name like it was haunted, like if you said it too loud, something bad might notice. I watched the updates roll through group chats and Instagram stories with this hollow calm, like I was reading spoilers to a movie I'd already seen. The pyramid didn't react. No celebration, no glow. It didn't care if he lived. That should have terrified me. Instead, it felt like permission. The next phase didn't announce itself with a message or a vision. It crept in sideways, through coincidence, piled on coincidence, until denying it felt childish. Strangers started recognizing me. Not, hey, you look familiar. Recognizing. Real recognition. A barista at a Starbucks I'd never been to paused mid-order and stared at me like she'd seen a ghost. Her hand shook so badly, she spilled milk all over the counter. She whispered my name under her breath. When I asked how she knew it, she burst into tears and locked herself in the back room. A guy at a bus stop in downtown Chicago looked at me, went pale, and stepped into traffic without looking. I heard the impact, didn't turn around. Every time something like that happened, the pyramid warmed, just a little, like a satisfied animal. The world started leaking information at me. Not secrets, not government stuff, just trajectories. I'd look at someone and know where they were headed. Divorce, relapse, suicide attempts that didn't stick, accidents that would be labeled unavoidable. I didn't see details anymore. I saw endpoints, and I knew which ones could be nudged. The instructions stopped being specific. The pyramid trusted me now. I didn't need pressure behind my eyes anymore. I just felt the right moments. The fragile intersections where a word, a delay, a presence could tip something over. I stopped calling them people in my head. I called them variables. One night, it sent me somewhere far from home. A cheap flight I don't remember booking showed up on my phone. Boarding pass already downloaded. Name spelled right. Seat assigned. No payment record. The destination was Orlando. Disney adjacent. That detail stuck with me because of how wrong it felt. The happiest place on earth, surrounded by hotels that smelled like chlorine and desperation. Families dragging exhausted kids through gift shops at midnight. Mascots waving with dead eyes behind fiberglass smiles. The pyramid wanted me there. I wandered through crowds, past fireworks and churros, and parents screaming at kids who just wanted to go back to the hotel. And there, near a service corridor, hidden behind a cast members only door, I saw the thread. A teenage employee, college program badge, mascot handler, sweating through his costume, eyes unfocused, breathing wrong. He kept glancing toward a fire exit, like it was calling to him. I stood near him, didn't touch him, didn't speak, just existed in his space. Later, I found out he walked into a restricted area during the parade and got crushed between a float mechanism and a concrete wall. They called it a tragic workplace accident. There was a statement. Counseling offered. Flowers. I watched the news coverage from my hotel room, the pyramid resting on the nightstand like a crown jewel. That was the first time I laughed. Not a nervous laugh, a real one. It came out ugly and loud and wouldn't stop. Like something had finally cracked open inside me and air rushed in for the first time. After that, the pace increased. London. A tube delay caused by signal issues. Someone fell. Tokyo. A train platform at rush hour. A step forward, half a second too early. New York. A rooftop party. A railing that gave way after someone leaned too hard. I didn't push. I didn't pull. I aligned. The pyramid showed me myself and reflections again. Store windows, elevator doors, dark phone screens. Always calm, always watching, always slightly smiling. People online started connecting dots. There were Reddit threads, conspiracy TikToks. Someone compiled clips of security footage where I appeared in the background, always just out of focus, always present before something went wrong. They called me different names. Urban legend stuff. The Harbinger. The Algorithm. The Bad Luck Kid. One comment stuck with me. It's like wherever he goes, reality loses its grip. The pyramid pulsed hard that night. Approval. I tried to stop once, just to see if I could. I locked myself in my room, unplugged everything, wrapped the pyramid in towels and duct tape, shoved it in the bottom of my closet, sat on my bed with my hands over my ears like a child. Outside, I heard sirens. A lot of them. My phone buzzed anyway. A message from Pyramid. You don't cause this. You curate it. If not you, someone else. Then a video loaded automatically. My room, filmed from the ceiling. Me sitting on the bed, shaking. Timestamp, 10 minutes in the future. I screamed and tore the closet open. The pyramid was unwrapped, warm, waiting. That's when it showed me the final thing before everything changed. Not a vision of death, a vision of scale, a map of the world, glowing with threads, millions of fragile points, lives teetering on invisible edges, and me, standing at the center, hands red, not from blood, but from friction, from constant contact with fate. The message wasn't spoken, it was felt. This is what you're for. And the worst part? I agreed. The pyramid had never shown me this far ahead before. Not weeks, not months, years, decades. The moment it did, I understood why it waited until now. I was on a plane when it happened. Somewhere over the Atlantic, cabin lights dimmed, everyone around me asleep or pretending to be. The engine hum blended with the low pulse coming from my backpack until they synced. I didn't even reach for it. I didn't need to. The vision unfolded behind my eyes like a second reality sliding into place. I saw myself older, not heroic, not monstrous in the obvious way, just established. My face sharper, eyes empty of hesitation, a name people didn't say out loud anymore. I wasn't hiding in shadows. I was standing in plain sight, moving through airports, conferences, crowds, my presence warping probability like heat off asphalt. Disasters trailed me like weather systems. A stadium evacuation that went wrong. A luxury cruise rerouted into a storm. A city-wide blackout blamed on infrastructure failure. Millions of tiny decisions, nudged just enough. No fingerprints, no patterns anyone could prove. The pyramid showed me headlines scrolling too fast to read fully. Memorial hashtags, candle emojis, comment sections full of rage, grief, denial. It showed me documentaries made years later, narrators asking the same question over and over. How could so many things go wrong in the same way? And then, finally, it showed me the end. My end. I wasn't killed. I wasn't arrested. I was irrelevant. Old, frail, sitting alone in a room with no screens, no windows. The pyramid sat on a table in front of me, unchanged, still warm, still waiting. And then I saw what came after. Someone else holding it. Younger, curious, hurt, a new beginning. The vision snapped off like a switch. I gasped so loud a flight attendant asked if I was okay. I nodded, smiled, said it was just a bad dream, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking, because for the first time since all of this started, the pyramid hadn't been asking me to do anything. It had been asking me a question. Are you willing to finish this? When we landed, my phone wouldn't connect to any network for almost an hour. No signal, no Wi-Fi, just silence. In that gap, something changed in me. Not fear, not guilt, ownership. I understood the pyramid wasn't evil, not in the way people imagine. It didn't crave blood or chaos. It craved continuity, a steady hand, someone who wouldn't flinch at the scale of it all. It didn't want a psychopath. It wanted a caretaker. That's when I made my first choice, without its guidance. I went back home, not to hide, not to stop, to prepare. I started documenting everything, not online, not anywhere searchable. Physical notebooks, dates, places, faces, patterns only I could see. I learned how systems failed, how crowds moved, how authorities explained the unexplainable. I studied disasters the way some people study chess openings. The pyramid watched, silent, patient. The messages from pyramid stopped. I didn't need them anymore. I was trusted completely now. Sometimes late at night, I'd scroll through social media like a normal person, watch travel vlogs, food reviews, theme park influencers smiling too wide. I'd see comments from people who were already dead and didn't know it yet. Once, just once, I hesitated again. I saw a vision of a child. Wrong place, wrong time. A life that would end early because of a chain I'd already set in motion. I felt something twist in my chest. A weak, useless thing. The pyramid warmed anyway. It showed me the future, without me. Uncontrolled. Messy. Worse. So I let the feeling pass. Now, if you're still reading this, here's the part that matters. I didn't post this as a confession. I posted it as a warning. Not about the dark web. Not about cursed objects. About curiosity. Because the pyramid doesn't disappear. It doesn't break. It doesn't burn. It moves. From person to person. From pain to pain. It finds people who've been wronged, overlooked, humiliated. People who want the world to make sense again, even if that sense is cruel. And lately, it's been cold. That only happens when it's not near me, which means someone else has it now. And if you're reading this late at night, feeling that strange pressure behind your eyes, wondering why certain choices suddenly feel obvious, don't look for it. Because once you see the future clearly enough, you stop believing anyone deserves one. Short recap. So yeah, in case your brain's still trying to catch up, I bought a black pyramid off the dark web. It said it could show the future, but it didn't just show it. It shaped it. It started with revenge on my bully, Trent. At first, little things went wrong for him. Then worse. Then he almost died. And every time something broke around him, the pyramid got warmer. But that wasn't the end. The pyramid started showing me others. People in the wrong place at the wrong time. I didn't touch them. I didn't speak. I just stood near, and things unraveled. Accidents, coincidences, deaths, and I felt nothing. Then it escalated. I started traveling. The pyramid pulled me to places before disasters happened. Theme parks, subways, rooftops. I wasn't killing people. I was curating fate. I became the guy in the background. That weird blur in security footage no one could explain. My name whispered in Reddit threads and conspiracy TikToks. They called me the algorithm, the bad luck kid. But it wasn't luck. It was purpose. The pyramid didn't choose me because I was evil. It chose me because I understood. And when it finally showed me the ending, it wasn't mine. It was yours. Because now it's gone cold. That only happens when someone else has it. So if weird things start happening around you, if strangers look afraid when they see you, If you find something in your room that wasn't there before, don't touch it, because you can't undo what the pyramid shows you. And once you see the future, you become it. I bought Santa's Christmas wish from the dark web. The moment my roommate saw me opening, he ran away and never came back. Alright, so this happened last December, and to this day I still don't have answers. Like, not even a little bit. And before I start, no, this isn't one of those spooky chainmail type of stories. This is something that happened to me in real life, and it's been messing with my head ever since. I'm not here looking for karma or whatever. I just need to put it out there, because maybe someone else has seen the same thing. Maybe someone knows what this was, because I swear to God, if I had known how this all would end, I wouldn't have touched that box. Hell, I wouldn't have even looked at it. So, yeah, my name's Connor. I'm 23, live in a small shared apartment in Chicago with my roommate Sean. We met in college, bonded over the dumbest stuff. Like both of us, were obsessed with those animated horror stories on YouTube. You know, the ones where it's always some kid watching TV and then their neighbor's actually a skinwalker or something. Anyway, it was around December 13th when the whole thing started, and I only remembered that exact date because it was one of those freak warm days right before a storm, like the kind of day where the skies are weird gray and it smells like wet pennies outside. I'd been on this stupid deep web subreddit for a couple weeks, just browsing. I wasn't buying anything. I wasn't doing anything illegal. It was just a rabbit hole, you know? Reddit post leads to another post, leads to a YouTube channel, leads to a Tor link, and before you know it, you're reading reviews on things like haunted VHS tapes or serial killer memorabilia. Most of it felt fake. Reviews written in that classic cryptic tone, like, item arrived early, didn't expect her to cry that loud, 10 out of 10. Just edgy, LARPing stuff. But one thing kept popping up, a listing called Santa's Christmas Wish, dark variant, and it had like actual traction. The description read, give someone a gift they'll never forget or never survive. Includes handcrafted wish box, instructions, and a visit from Santa himself. Delivered by hand. Only 3 in stock. Yeah, I know. Sounds like something from a cringy ARG or whatever. But people had posted real pics, close-up shots of the box, people holding the thick velvet envelope it came with. One guy even uploaded a blurry-ass video of himself opening it. Looked fake, looked staged, but the comments were wild, like, my dad went missing the day after we opened it. I thought it was a joke. It wasn't. Do not wish anything. Don't say it out loud. Don't think it while holding it. So I showed it to Sean. We laughed it off, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. Cut to 3 nights later, I'm high off my ass on some mid I got from this guy at a Starbucks drive-thru. Yes, that's how I get it now. Don't judge. Scrolling that same dark web vendor page, and I see it. 1 in stock. Ships immediately. No refunds. And for some reason, in my fried brain, that made it seem more real? I don't know. I just did it. I clicked buy now. It was like $128 in Bitcoin. Not cheap, not crazy either. And the moment I hit confirm, I swear to God, my laptop screen flickered. Like just for a second. Static buzzed through my AirPods. A Discord notification popped up from a friend I hadn't talked to in over a year. Dude, don't. That message was from someone who passed away last February. A real friend. Got hit by a drunk driver near the Navy Pier. That should have been it. That should have been the moment I shut everything down, wiped the drive, burned the damn laptop. But I didn't. 4 days later, December 17th, package arrives. I wake up to banging on the front door. Not knocking, banging, like full-on someone trying to break it down. I check the Ring cam feed on my phone. No one there. But the knocking doesn't stop. So I go down, open the door, and the box is just sitting there, wrapped in black tissue paper, sealed with a deep red wax stamp that had a Santa silhouette in the middle, except the face was wrong, twisted, elongated, kind of like how your brain tries to remember Santa Claus from childhood but screws up the proportions. And there was no delivery truck, no UPS guy running off, no tire marks in the snow. Sean was in the kitchen eating microwaved leftover Shake Shack when I brought it in. The moment he saw it in my hands, his whole body froze. Like literally mid-bite, just stopped chewing. Then he slowly stood up, eyes wide, and said, "Is that real?" I nodded, kind of laughing. "Yeah, it's the one from the posts." That was the last time I saw him. He didn't scream or pack a bag, just dropped his burger, walked to his room, grabbed his phone and coat, and left. No goodbye, no explanation, just out the door. I tried calling him after, dozens of times, straight to voicemail. That box sat on the kitchen table for 6 more hours before I worked up the nerve to open it. The wax was hard as bone. Took a knife to cut through. Inside, a red velvet box, like the kind you'd get a fancy watch in. Beneath that, a folded letter printed on antique-looking paper, almost brown and brittle, like it had been sitting in a church for 100 years. The letter said, "Merry Christmas. You may now speak your wish aloud, but beware. Every gift has its price. Santa listens. Santa knows." At the bottom, in cursive handwriting, "Do not unwrap after midnight. Do not open alone. Do not lie." I looked at the clock. It was 11:46 p.m., so I waited. At exactly 12:01 a.m., the box started ticking, like a clock, and I hadn't even touched it yet. Do not lie. The box wouldn't stop ticking, not like a bomb. No, it was slower, deeper, like the kind of old grandfather clock you hear in haunted mansions from 80s horror flicks. It echoed in my head. Tick, 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 and every beat made me feel like something was about to come out of the walls and tear me inside out. I couldn't stop staring at it, couldn't move. My phone screen dimmed, then shut off. The whole apartment felt colder, like someone had opened every window, even though they were sealed tight. I heard the hum of the fridge choke for a second, and then die. The lights didn't flicker, they dimmed, like the air itself was swallowing light. That's when the envelope started bleeding. I swear, I'm not making this up. There was no blood when I opened the wax seal. I'm sure of it. But now, red-black fluid was dripping from the paper fibers like it was alive. It soaked through the thin wood of the kitchen table and hissed when it hit the tile. I didn't know what to do, so I did the dumbest thing imaginable. I made a wish. I didn't say it out loud. I didn't even think I meant it. But the box knew. It heard me. I remember muttering something like, "I just want to know if it's real." And I swear on my mother's grave, the ticking stopped right there. Just cut off. Clean. Like scissors slicing through time. Then came the knock. Not at the door. No. The knock came from inside the hallway wall. the drywall behind the fridge. 3 slow, deliberate thumps. I was frozen. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. Every horror movie I ever watched came screaming to the front of my brain like a slideshow of things I should have done differently in life. I started backing up toward the living room, tripped over Sean's empty chair, and fell. And as I hit the floor, the fridge slid forward 2 inches by itself. Not yanked, not slammed, just slid. The knock came again, this time from the floorboards under the couch, then the ceiling, then the sink drain, then the goddamn hallway light fixture. Whatever it was already inside. I grabbed my phone to record. It wouldn't unlock. Face ID showed a split-second flash of a face that wasn't mine. Pale skin, no eyes, just black empty sockets, like old burnt-out Christmas bulbs. I blinked and it was gone. The velvet box was open now. I never touched it. I swear to you, I never laid a finger on it again after reading the note. But now it was open. The velvet top peeled back like skin from meat, and inside wasn't a gift. It was a tooth, a human tooth, still bloody at the root. A single piece of paper lay beneath it. You lied. I didn't understand. I didn't lie. Unless the box meant my wish. Maybe I did want it to be fake. Maybe I didn't truly want to know. And that was enough. The apartment went dark. Not blackout dark. Void dark. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. The only sound was the low, wet shuffle of something crawling out of the wall cavity behind the fridge. I heard it drop onto the floor with a meaty slap. Nails or claws scraped against tile as it moved toward me. My ears were ringing. My heart felt like it was being squeezed by a cold fist. I backed up until I hit the window, grabbed my phone again, and turned on the flashlight. Big mistake. It was standing in front of me. Not Santa, not a demon, not a person, not even something I could describe the way you'd expect. It looked like if every mole Santa you've ever seen died on the job, decomposed, then got stitched together into a single meat puppet and stuffed into a velvet suit. His jaw was unhinged like a broken puppet, swinging open and shut with no sound, no breath, just that weird clicking motion like it was trying to mimic laughter but didn't know how. And it was smiling, not with its mouth, with its eyes, black, soupy marbles rolling in circles, faster and faster, the way a shark's eyes roll when it's thrashing prey. It held a long chain in one hand, made of teeth and rusted nails. On the end of it, Sean's phone. The screen was still cracked from the time he dropped it at that Target downtown. I recognized the lock screen photo. It was one I took of him and his sister last Christmas. But the phone kept lighting up with new texts, all from unknown numbers. Each one said the same thing. Do not lie. I threw a lamp at the thing and ran. I didn't grab a jacket. I didn't lock the door. I just bolted into the street, barefoot in the snow, like an idiot, neighbors staring out their windows like I'd lost my mind. And I probably had. I didn't come back to the apartment for 2 days. I crashed at a friend's place in Lincoln Park who didn't ask questions. He thought I was high. He thought I'd had a breakdown. But then he went back to my place with me. And it was empty. Like, totally empty. Not just of people, of everything. Furniture, food, my bed, Sean's stuff. It was like no one had ever lived there. Even the carpet was new. The paint was different. The landlord said the unit had been vacant since August. They even showed me the records. Sean's name? Never on the lease. Not once. I tried calling his parents. The number was disconnected. I tried emailing his sister. My message bounced back with a user not found error. I looked for our old college photos. They were gone. I mean, gone. Like folders were still there, but empty. Metadata wiped. Cloud backups missing. Every photo that had Sean in it was erased. Every video too. Except one. One video remained. It was a TikTok draft on my phone. I don't remember filming. In it, I'm holding the velvet box, smiling at the camera with blood running down my neck, whispering, "I made a wish. You can too." Then the video ends, and I'm alone again. I started getting letters. Real physical letters. No return address. All in red envelopes with wax seals. Each one contains a single sentence. Your next lie is your last. The world starts agreeing with it. After the letters started coming, I learned something important about fear. Fear isn't screaming or shaking or hiding under blankets like horror movies want you to believe. Fear is editing yourself. Fear is rehearsing every sentence in your head before you speak, not because you want to sound smart, but because you're terrified a single wrong word might be considered a lie. I stopped talking almost entirely. At work, I answered emails with one-word replies. Yes, received. Okay. I deleted Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, sorry, X, anything that required opinions, jokes, exaggerations. You don't realize how much lying is baked into daily life until you're actively trying not to do it. I'm fine. Traffic was bad. I'll call you later. All lies. All death sentences, if the letters were telling the truth. And they kept coming. Always the same envelope. Same wax seal. Same handwriting that looked like it had been carved instead of written. The messages got shorter, more impatient. You lied when you smiled. You lied when you stayed silent. Truth is not optional. The last one came with something extra. A receipt. It was from McDonald's, time-stamped 2:14 a.m. Same night Sean disappeared. Same location near the expressway where we used to grab food after late shifts. On the back, written in that same carving handwriting, he wished for forgiveness. That's when I realized something that made my stomach drop so hard I thought I was going to pass out. The box didn't just take my wish. It took everyone's. Anyone who saw it. Anyone who knew about it. Anyone who even thought about it too hard. I tried going to the police. I rehearsed everything. No exaggeration, no metaphors, just facts. They listened, nodded, took notes, asked for names, dates, proof. When I mentioned Sean, one of the officers paused, just for half a second. His pen hovered above the paper like it had forgotten what writing was. Then he said, "Can you spell that again?" I did. He erased it, literally erased it from the report. "No record," he said flatly. "You sure you're remembering correctly?" I opened my mouth to argue and felt that cold pressure in my chest again, like invisible fingers squeezing my lungs. My vision tunneled. The words died in my throat. I nodded. Another lie. That night, the ticking came back. Not from a box this time, from my own head. Every heartbeat sounded wrong, off-tempo, like something was counting me down. I tried sleeping with music on, YouTube ambience videos, rainstorms, fireplace loops, one of those creepy, abandoned mall at night soundtracks I used to love. They all stopped on their own at exactly 3:17 a.m. Silence. Then the whisper. Not outside, not in the walls, inside my mouth. I could feel my lips moving without my permission, jaw trembling as a voice slid out that wasn't mine. "Tell them." I bit down hard enough to taste blood. The whisper laughed. The next morning, my reflection was wrong. Not like monster in the mirror, wrong. Subtler. Worse. My eyes followed me with a delay. My smile, when I forced one, lingered a fraction of a second longer than it should have, like it didn't want to let go. My phone buzzed with a notification from an app I didn't have installed. Santa's list. Beta no icon. Just text. I opened it. There was a profile. My name. My photo, taken from my front-facing camera while I was looking at the screen. Under it, a status bar labeled Naughty, Nice. The needle hovered dead center, shaking. Below that, a list of names. Not celebrities, not randoms. People I knew. Old classmates, co-workers. My neighbor who always jogged at 6 a.m. Sean was there too. His name grayed out, with a red stamp over it. Collected, I scrolled. Each name had a note. Lied about loving her job. Lied about sobriety. Lied about being alone. Some had countdown timers. I threw the phone across the room. It landed face up, uncracked, still ticking. That evening, the news reported a string of unexplained disappearances across 3 states. Grainy surveillance footage played on loop. People walking into Starbucks bathrooms and never walking out. A man stepping into a Target fitting room, curtain closing, never reopening. A family van pulled over near a Christmas tree lot in Oregon, hazard lights blinking for hours until police arrived to find it empty, gifts still wrapped inside. In one clip, barely visible in the reflection of a glass door, stood a tall red shape watching, smiling. I knew then what it wanted. It didn't want silence. It wanted confession. I started writing everything down. Every lie I'd ever told, every half-truth, every time I'd nodded instead of speaking up. Pages and pages, hands cramping, mind unraveling. I read them out loud, alone in my apartment, voice cracking, tears soaking the paper. Nothing happened. The letters kept coming. Then one arrived addressed to my username. Not my name, my Reddit handle. Inside was a printed screenshot of this post. Part 1, Part 2, annotated in red ink, circles around sentences, arrows pointing to phrases, notes in the margins, embellishment, dramatization. This is not how it happened. At the bottom, tell it right, or we tell it for you. That's when the messages started appearing online. Accounts with no followers, no history, posting my memories, but twisted. Comments describing things I hadn't shared. Photos of places I'd only been alone in. A video clip surfaced on YouTube, animated in that familiar horror story style, titled, "I bought Santa's wish and ruined Christmas forever." The narrator sounded like me, but colder, meaner, more honest. And at the end of the video, as the animated version of my apartment faded to black, a message appeared. I don't know how much time I have left. The needle on the app is drifting, and I can hear sleigh bells outside. But it isn't snowing. He knows when you're awake. The sleigh bells didn't fade when I shut the windows. They didn't get louder either. That was the worst part. They stayed perfectly consistent, like a metronome nailed to the night, ringing somewhere just outside the edge of perception, close enough to be real, far enough to be deniable. I stopped trusting my senses after that. I took a week off work without explaining why. My boss replied with one word, approved, and then unfollowed me on every platform. Not blocked, unfollowed, like distancing himself from something contagious. My phone showed I'd been removed from group chats I never remembered leaving. Messages I'd sent days earlier were now gone, replaced with automated, "This message has been deleted," notices that no app claimed responsibility for. The world was cooperating with him. I started seeing red hats everywhere. Not literal Santa hats, nothing that obvious. Red beanies, red hoodies, red umbrellas. Always just at the edge of crowds, in reflections, in security mirrors at grocery stores. Once, at a 7-Eleven at 2 a.m., I saw one standing behind me in the freezer door glass. I spun around so fast I slipped on spilled soda. No one was there. The cashier didn't even look up. When I checked the receipt later, there was an extra line item. Nice try, $0. I stopped sleeping, not by choice. Every time I closed my eyes, my brain filled in the blanks for him. Not dreams, rehearsals, different versions of what might happen, different ways he could come for me. In some, he used the chain. In others, he didn't touch me at all. He just stood there while the room peeled itself apart around me like wrapping paper. On the third night without sleep, the app updated. Santa's list, full release. The interface was cleaner now, festive even. Snow animations drifting across the screen. A cheerful chime played when it loaded. The needle was no longer hovering. It was drifting toward naughty. Below it, a new tab blinked. Live map. I didn't want to open it. I did anyway. Red dots, hundreds of them, all over the world. Big cities first. New York, London, Tokyo. Smaller clusters lighting up near malls, airports, hospitals. Each dot pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. When one went dark, another nearby would flare brighter. I tapped one close to me. A live camera feed opened. It was from inside a familiar place, a McDonald's play area. Empty, chairs stacked, fluorescent lights buzzing. The camera angle was low, like it had been placed on the floor. Something moved through the plastic tunnel, not fast, not slow, purposeful. The feed cut. A notification popped up immediately after. Confession delayed. My phone vibrated again. Another message. You still owe me the truth. That's when I realized the scariest thing of all. He wasn't hunting randomly. He was curating. The next morning, my neighbor across the hall knocked on my door. I hadn't seen her in weeks. She was always loud, FaceTiming her kids, blasting Christmas music too early, laughing too hard. Now she stood there silent, eyes bloodshot, clutching a paper bag so tightly it tore. She didn't say hello. She said, "You should stop writing." I asked her what she meant. Her mouth opened, but the words came out wrong, like they'd been rearranged. "He doesn't like edits," she whispered. "He wants the ugly parts. He wants the parts you skip." Then she pushed the bag into my hands and left. Inside was a Santa figurine. Cheap plastic, the kind you'd see on a dollar store shelf, but its face had been scratched away, carved down to smooth nothing. On the bottom, written in marker, "This is what happens when you lie for entertainment." That night, the knocks returned. Not in the walls, in my notifications. Every app chimed at once. Messenger, Gmail, Reddit, even apps I hadn't opened in years. All the same message, from different accounts, different usernames, different profile pictures. "We're ready when you are." I locked myself in the bathroom, sat in the tub with my knees to my chest, phone glowing like a dying star in my hands. The mirror fogged up, even though the water wasn't running. Words appeared on the glass, not written, condensed. Read aloud. A script opened on my phone, not something I'd written, something compiled. Screenshots of texts I'd sent and deleted, jokes I'd exaggerated, feelings I'd pretended not to have, moments where I chose comfort over honesty and called it kindness. As I read, my voice started to change. I sounded relieved. The longer I went on, the warmer the room got. The fog on the mirror cleared. Behind my reflection, I saw him. Not fully, not directly, but enough. Red fabric stretched tight over something too tall. Hands folded politely. Head tilted like he was enjoying a story. When I finished, the app chimed cheerfully. Confession accepted. The needle twitched. Just a little. Then he spoke. Not out loud. Not in my head. Through my phone speaker. "You're learning," he said. Voice layered like too many people talking at once. "But you're still telling it, like you want sympathy." The bathroom door handle rattled. I didn't scream. I didn't run. I asked him what he wanted. The rattling stopped. "For you to stop pretending this is happening to you," he replied. "This is happening because of you." The handle turned. The lights went out. And somewhere very close, very pleased, sleigh bells rang again. But if there is, it won't be written for entertainment. It'll be written because I finally stopped lying about why I opened the box in the first place. The wish was never the box. I finally understood why the door didn't open right away. He wasn't coming in. He was waiting for me to invite him. The handle had turned, yes, but it stopped halfway, held there like a question mark. The bathroom was pitch black except for my phone screen, which had dimmed itself to the lowest possible brightness, as if it didn't want to be seen helping me anymore. The app was gone, not crashed, not deleted, gone like it had never existed. In its place was my camera app, already recording, front-facing. I was shaking so badly the image looked like found footage from a disaster zone. My eyes were hollow. Blood vessels burst from days without sleep. Lips cracked and bleeding from biting them. Too often. I didn't recognize myself. And worse, I knew exactly who did. "You figured it out," the voice said again, softer now, almost kind. "You didn't buy a wish. You volunteered." The lights flicked on. Not all of them. Just enough. The bathroom door was open. The hallway beyond it stretched longer than it should have. Walls bending inward like they were listening. At the end of it stood a full-length mirror that I knew didn't belong in my apartment. I'd never owned it, never seen it before, but I knew what it was for. "Go on," he said. "Look." I stepped into the hallway. Each footstep sounded delayed, like the floor was replaying the noise a second later just to be sure it liked it. As I got closer to the mirror, I saw movement inside it. Not my reflection, but versions of me. Dozens, hundreds, all doing different things. One was opening the box. One was laughing about it. One was filming a reaction video, smiling too wide, eyes bright with the thrill of being interesting. That one hurt the most. "You didn't want truth," he said. "You wanted a story." The mirror cracked. Each fracture showed a different ending. In one, I disappeared quietly. No mystery, no spectacle. Just another dot on the map that went dark. In another, I went viral. Interviews, blurred face, comment sections tearing me apart. People arguing about whether I deserved it. In the worst one, I kept posting, kept feeding it, kept pretending I was warning people when really I was advertising. My phone vibrated. A live viewer count appeared at the top of the screen. Watching. 1,247 comments began to scroll. Is this real? This is better than the animated ones. Bro sold his soul for content. Part 6. When? My mouth moved before I could stop it. There is no part 6. The hallway shook. For the first time, the voice sounded surprised. "Oh?" it asked. I swallowed. My throat burned. "The wish wasn't the box," I said. slowly, carefully. It was the audience. Silence. Then laughter. Not loud, not monstrous. Genuine, delighted. Say it all, he urged. So I did. I told the truth I'd been carved around since the beginning. I told them I wasn't just curious. I was bored. That I didn't just stumble into the dark web. I went looking for something extreme enough to make me feel special. That when Sean ran, part of me felt chosen instead of scared. With every sentence, the mirror peeled away. With every confession, the viewer count dropped. People left when it stopped being fun, when it stopped being mysterious, when it became ugly, honest. The red fabric behind me sagged. You were supposed to keep lying, the voice said, smaller now. You were supposed to keep me alive. I turned around. He wasn't tall anymore. He wasn't smiling. The suit hung empty, collapsing in on itself like a deflated costume. The bells were silent. The chain lay in a heap on the floor, rust crumbling to dust. What happens now? I asked. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere. Now, it said, you live with it. The apartment snapped back to normal. Too normal. Morning light streamed through the windows. Traffic noise. A siren somewhere far away. My phone buzzed. Not with notifications, but a calendar alert reminding me to pay rent. No app, no map, no letters. I checked social media. The posts were gone. The videos were gone. Every trace of the story erased, like it had never existed. Except for this. This post stays up. I've tried deleting it. It reappears. I've tried changing details. They revert. And every December, without fail, I get a single notification from an unknown account with no profile picture. Just one message. Still telling the truth? So if you're reading this and thinking about looking it up, about seeing if it's real, about finding the listing, about proving me wrong, go ahead. That's how it starts. Just remember, Santa doesn't bring gifts anymore. He brings platforms, and he's always looking for new storytellers. Short recap. I bought Santa's Christmas wish from the dark web. A guy named Connor, curious and bored, stumbles into a creepy dark web listing called Santa's Christmas Wish, Dark Variant. A box you can buy to make a wish, but at a price. He buys it for fun. When the box arrives, his roommate Sean sees it and immediately flees, never to return. That night, the box starts ticking, leaking blood, and whispering things no box should whisper. Connor makes a wish. He just wants to know if it's real. That's enough. Suddenly the walls start knocking, his phone glitches, and reality starts twisting. People vanish. Photos delete themselves. Sean's entire existence is erased. Every lie Connor tells, even small ones, is punished by a force that knows when you're not telling the truth. He receives envelopes threatening him. His phone transforms into an app called Santa's List, tracking people, labeling them naughty or nice, and marking some collected. The horror follows him offline. Mirrors distort. Strangers deliver cryptic warnings, and an unseen Santa-like entity watches, judging every move. The twist? Connor learns the box didn't grant wishes. It tested storytellers. It gave a platform to those who lied for attention, who exaggerated horror for clout. The real wish was audience. He finally confesses every truth. The magic breaks. The box disappears. But every year, one message still returns. Still telling the truth. The real warning? It's not the box you should fear. It's the story you're about to tell.